Hello, hello.
Hey, hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, dude. How you doing?
Hey, not too bad.
How's how's StarCraft going for you?
Actually, I hit Platinum 3 yesterday, so I know when we started messaging, I was like hovering around Gold 3, Gold 2, and then just, stuck to the basics. Now I'm at Plat 3, so your system works, man. Appreciate it.
Nice. That's good to hear. Uh,
Yeah,
what race were you using? To refresh my memory.
Protoss.
Okay. So
Yep,
Protoss Plat 3. And then you're using like the like 2021 stuff, I assume.
yep. At 2021 BDGM, charge lot, archons, things like that.
Nice.
I think. There's a couple of things if I was to break down my losses. I say is a lot of some of it's early game cheese, but then also some of it as well as you kind of talk about. If I can, I saw one of your videos. You're supposed to say a plat, you can supposed to get it down to diamond. You're supposed to be able to get it down to 9 minutes. So I can definitely see myself. If it get to 9 minutes, I can solve some of the other losses as well too. But eager to hear what you have to say. I got a bunch of files that I thought might have been decent losses. I did a AI build to try to get under sub 930. So just eager to hear what your recommendations are.
Sure. I will say, I bet before we start this, it's a lot of times what happens to a lot of people is their expansions are off pretty heavily, and we'll also take like while we go through like a replay or while
Sure,
just see you playing in general.
sure.
Uh, I'll be definitely watching like a lot of your buildings to see if you have a lot of like uptime problems, which is another thing
Yep,
people struggle with like crazy.
yep.
So uh, basically, there's a lot of ways we can do this, and it sounds like if you want to, we could do replays because you have some prepared already. So we could do a replay. We could do live game for you, like if you want to do something actually like right now as well. If you're like, no, replays aren't what I want. I feel like I want to do a new one. You could totally do that as well. Whatever you want to do, really. For like giving me an example of how you
Yeah.
play. But it,
Well,
or go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, I was gonna say whatever you think is best. So like I said, I was watching a bunch of your videos, so like I was trying to extrapolate what you say in terms of what
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing. I'm eager
Sure.
to do whatever you think is best.
I
Yeah.
would say it's a little bit more nerve-wracking to do it live because I'm watching you
Okay.
like in the moment. So if you want to try, you can. Otherwise, if you're comfortable with like a replay you already have, you can just
Yeah, I'm
send me one.
comfortable. Yeah.
All right. So
Yeah.
just all you gotta do, probably the easiest way to do this that I've done with people before is just go into your folder right now, or like just
Yeah.
type it in like search and just find the replay you want to give me, and
Yeah.
drop it in Discord chat that we have, and then I'll watch
Yeah.
it myself and I'll share my screen with you so you can actually see like
Okay.
my
Cool.
perspective.
Yeah. And then I don't know if this is really like be helpful or not, but one thing I was thinking about is that I don't know if you can record like a 9 minute max out and just literally just bark out the steps that you're doing. Because,
Mm-hmm.
when you do that 4 or 5 thing, right? Like that's kind of like a mantra that I've been saying throughout like the mid, mark. And I find that because it's too much, right? As you said, as a newbie player, it's just too much. You just get swamped.
Mm-hmm.
But having that like call outs, and I was trying to find a game where you actually did it, but it's hard to
I
find.
I
Maybe that might help as well
Sure.
too.
I can
Yeah,
before this coaching lesson's over, I can definitely give you not only like a new replay that's of like
yeah,
right now, but I can also give you one that's basically me just walking you through what I'm doing the entire time. It's a
yeah. Because I think that will like because if you're telling me you can get to 9 minutes in diamond, which I believe, I'm just like if I struggle at 9:30, like then obviously there's still room of
for
improvement
sure.
to go. I'm just trying to find my words saved.
No, no,
That's why I'm
you're
just kind of
no
like
worries. You're all good, man.
clicking
Take
around.
as much
All
time as you
right,
need.
all
Uh,
right.
but yeah, like I'd say like if I when I do an example for you, it's gonna be a lot of just understanding what the priority is, and the priority
Mhm.
absolutely is going to be doing minerals before gas. So
Yeah,
I'll be doing things like for the BDGM specifically, and if I want to do a fast supply max out type thing, I'll be like,
yeah,
okay, so I'm going to fully saturate my mineral line,
yeah,
and while I'm fully saturating my mineral line, I'm going to expand, and then I'm going to finish off
yeah,
my gas, and then next phase,
yeah,
fully saturate my mineral line, then expand, and then finish off my gas, and it's going to keep happening repeatedly, and then
yeah,
I'm just going to be always adding on more production as I can't maintain my spending on my
yeah.
current economy every time. That's the basic
Yeah.
idea, which I'm sure you already understand from B2GM.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
just
But
not messing
yeah,
it
so I
up.
was gonna say, it's always one of those things that it's easier in theory,
No, for
but
sure.
it's hard to do in practice.
For
which
sure.
is yeah.
A quick
I
quick question for you. Do you
yep,
use camera hotkeys?
I do, yes. So I follow yours QWE and then F5, F6, F7.
Okay. Sure. Cool.
Yeah. So I have a Canon Rush, harassment, and then which I lost, and then I transitioned to Void Race. Do you think that will be good enough,
I
or
mean that'll be good for like talking about like how to deal with certain situations. That's totally
okay?
fine. But for
Okay.
a if you want to talk about how to deal with like or how to like be as efficient as possible, that
Yeah.
is gonna definitely skew it like crazy because you'll have
Got
to
it.
make a reaction to deal with something like that, and it's
Okay.
gonna slow your build down no matter what.
Yeah, I have another one where I think it's mass carrier. So I hit the max out. I attacked a guy, my army got wiped out, and then he just went mass carriers, and I just couldn't max out. It's enough to deal with them.
Yeah.
I don't know if that will work,
Okay,
or I
I'd
haven't.
say let's do both, honestly.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I'll
Cool.
go through the Canon one a little bit faster because I feel
All
like
right. Cool.
you getting some ideas on how to defend things might be good for you as well about how to like
Yeah.
get like a proper response to stuff.
Yeah. So I just dropped two in the chat there.
Okay, so I will open up Canon Rush, and for this one, I'm not gonna talk. I'll still talk about your macro a little bit, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna focus a bit more on just what you can do here, and then we'll focus more on your macro game with the carrier one. All
Okay.
right, so you are tomato, yeah.
Yeah. I'm tomato. Yeah.
Okay. All right, so you see my game now in Discord.
I do. Yep.
Okay, perfect. All right, so let's see what you're doing. Let's see what's going on with you here. All right. Okay, your first probe coming out. Nice pylon. Okay, so I would say just a quick note here. Your pylon is a little bit close to the ramp. You're gonna get like on some ramps, you're gonna definitely have a problem of putting your gateway in the right spot. Just make sure. This is a big tip. Okay. The pylon field does not have to be fully covering where the gateway is gonna go. It just needs to cover where the center of the gateway is going to go. So you can have that one grid spot where the gateway protrudes out of it and it still fits. So if your pylon was just back like one grid spot, it would be a really, really good, well, like perfectly placed pylon. This is just slightly too close.
Yeah, so what I've just regarding that spot, what I've noticed is that sometimes I would just screw up the placement and then they'll go through. So I think it's just practice, right?
No,
I
for
think
sure.
that's kind of my conclusion. Okay, so I just want to make sure that's the right takeaway from that.
It's it just obviously everything about that like takes time for sure.
Yeah.
Just making sure you know though that it's if you get comfortable with the fact that a gateway is 9 grid spots, like it's 3x3, right? If you think about like because like graph paper, it's like 3x3, and only the very center spot needs to be in the pylon field.
Yeah.
Now this gas is way too early.
Yeah, so that's something I've tried to do because I think like the seconds there is only like 15 seconds, but I know you do gateway first, so I think that's just something that I was trying out, and I think it sounds like just always do gateway first. Then,
yeah,
right?
a big reason why. Look, check this out for a second. Is your first probe is correct. You rallied it out of the Nexus. This is nice.
Yeah.
You build your pylon. You have 100 minerals, 105, 110, 125, 135. So your first pylon is just a tiny bit late, like just not by much, probably like only by like 1 second to 2 seconds. It's not that bad, but your gateway is really late. Watch this. So your gateway you should have a probe already like within about the last 2 seconds of the pylon finishing, like right now. A probe should already be in this area right here to build a gateway, or this area, whatever one you want. I would recommend this area because it's easier if you leave the doorway on the inside of your base than putting it on the outside of your base, if that makes sense. So you put the gateways there and there. But your gateway should be starting at like 38 seconds with the way you built your pylon, because your pylon's finishing like right now, right? And you could be like planting the gateway right there right now. But now your gateway does not actually go down until 47 seconds. It's 9 seconds after the pylon was started. Or, sorry, 9 seconds after the pylon finished. So that is a huge deficit for you in terms of everything so far. And this is the kind of shit that'll kill you.
Yeah. Okay.
Nice chrono boosted probe though. You actually missed a second there though. I like that you chronoed the Nexus, but you actually missed like 3 seconds on the Nexus with a chrono.
Okay.
At 6, like right before you started probe 17 here, or 18 rather. So that's a
Yeah.
little bit brutal for you again. It's gonna definitely slow down everything.
Yeah.
Not your rally was correct. Okay, now here's another tip. Let's see this I want to see when his probe arrives at your base really fast. So in PvP in general, okay, so go back a little bit further, or not even. This isn't even a PvP thing. This is a Protoss thing in general. Okay, I guess for you it's PvP, but this applies to every single race in this game that's playing against Protoss. If the probe arrives at your base, before 1 minute, like that right there.
Yeah.
It takes a probe about like 30 seconds to cross the map. Okay. And he's getting to your base at 56 seconds, or 55, 56 seconds in the game. You saw him like 1 second ago, like at the edge of your base. But it's pretty much the same fucking thing. Now, if we think about what happened 30 seconds ago, it's probably around the time when he started a pylon. So he started a pylon and immediately went to your base. And whenever somebody does that, that is a humongous sign that they can definitely cannon rush you, because it is way too early to get anything real scouting done. Like, there's not much you're doing yet. And there's so much time that this guy could be reacting to shit. Because, like, this is a probe that could have been mining minerals. Then he's definitely, like, not saturating the mineral line fully, properly, to scout you first. So anyone who does that is usually going to have aggressive tendencies. Because that is, again, he's scouting the starting of a gateway, which is, it means that he's not going to actually see what your build develops into for at least a minute. And, but he definitely could build pylons in your base and build cannons. So whenever you see that under a minute, get ready for a fucking cannon rush. If a probe scouts you around like 120, 115, that's a little bit more normal. It still could be cannons, because some people like to delay cannons a little bit like that, but it's more likely not going to be. It's like odds are it's not a cannon rush.
Got it.
So I would be fucking scared of this probe right now. I would be like, okay, cannons, here we go.
Yeah.
And he even did that. That's another sign of someone who's gonna rustle your jimmies. He fucking put assault in your base.
Whatever. They'll stay the same and I'll get better.
Yeah, right. No, for sure. And like that there, the way this guy's moving his probe. Anybody who does, and so this is another sign of a cannon rush. Okay, there's movement signs. Anybody who will move anywhere to your base that is not to the mineral line looks like a cannon rusher. So if we go back and look at his scouting really fast, aside from the fact of when he got to your base, okay, but look at how he moves his probe. So this probe has an angle already. You can tell by the fact that it crossed the ramp, and look at where, like, what direction it's headed. If we made a straight line from where the probe is, this probe is going this direction right here already. It's going down diagonal to the, or sorry, you can't see my mouse. It's going this direction right here to diagonal down to the bottom right. And he turns it though, but you can tell it's already going diagonal down. That is a fucking sign of a cannon rush. That is, these are subtle things that are like, why would you click fucking down here in my base? Because you're probably gonna put a pylon there, and he was probably hoping that you didn't put a gateway in front of your base. He was probably hoping you put it like next to your nexus or something.
Yeah.
But then he gets scouted. He realizes he was scouted, and he turns and he goes to your mineral line.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is a fishy, suspicious sign of some bullshit. Or again already. Because nobody will ever go to the side of your base to scout you.
Yeah.
They will always click your mineral line. That way, or like right behind it, so they can get a scout on what you're doing, resource-wise. And then he takes a lap like this. He goes around it, and then he doesn't leave your base, and he once again clicks the edge of your base again. This is a sign of some bullshit again. Like, all of this is really pointing to a cannon rush, like hardcore. And then he disappears in your base. Or does he for a second? Yeah, okay. And he keeps going back down to this area. This is definitely something you need to be like, take a probe off the gas for like 1 second and go down, up, and then just be like, are you building a pylon right now? Like, is this happening? And yes, it is. So, you making a zealot right now? I'm totally fine with it. And okay, so I'm gonna give you some ideas here, okay?
Yeah.
So you actually were doing it right for a second there in the first part of this defense, where you had 2 probes attacking his probe. That was correct.
Yeah.
Now,
Okay.
another thing you want, like the way this guy's cannon rushing you is super easy to defend if you just do the right thing. So 3 probes. The fact that you have 3 probes on the cannon is actually great. 3 probes is all you need to deny a cannon if you get on it right as it starts, because you kill it faster than it builds with 3 probes, and it will die over time, and it's just going to be guaranteed denied. But you have nothing stopping the probe now, so he might just build cannon, and cancel cannons that are being killed, and just make more cannons.
Yeah.
So if you have 2 probes chasing the probe, it puts a lot of pressure on it, to where if whenever he moves and stops to try to build more cannons, he'll be taking hits, and it only takes 8 hits and he dies. And then the thing about 2 probes that's really nice is whenever a probe attacks in this game, it comes to a full stop to attack, and then it starts moving again. So whenever you have 2 probes chasing your enemy probe, one that attacks is going to be in the front, and then it's going to do a full stop when it attacks. But then the second probe is going to circle, like it's going to just like take out like a pass on the first probe, and now it's going to be chasing the probe. And then while the second probe speeds up again, it's going to be right behind. And then you'll never have a moment where you miss an attack. You'll always, every time he stops or turns too tightly, you'll get an attack off, another attack off, another attack off, and you'll probably kill the probe. The chances of you killing a probe in like Platinum League are like 90% chance. It's very high. Doing this, like most people aren't gonna micro that probe flawlessly when they're running away from that shit.
Yeah. And they also won't be in Platinum.
Yeah, right. All right, so like this is becoming a problem for you just because you're not dealing with the probe. If you were though, you could have handled this no problem. But yeah, like I said, 3 probes per cannon is all you want.
Yeah.
So if like we went back here just to look at this really fast. So like you have to get on the. So just keep this in mind, okay?
Yeah.
These first 2 boxes here, if you can, this is something to try to probably remember for the future, okay?
Yeah.
So these first 2 boxes, if you put 3 probes on that, that is totally safe. You're totally fine. If you wait until the next box is taken, like it's gonna basically start with like the first box is full health and the second box is like loading up, because every building starts with 10% HP, and then they build over time, whatever their total health pool is over build time. You just would do the math on that. But basically, if you get to the 3rd box here of health bar, 3 probes can still do it, but it's gonna take like all the way till the finish to finish it off. If you wait till the 4th box and you have 3 probes on it, you're gonna not let it. You're not stopping it before it finishes. If it gets to like the 4th box, you would need like 4 probes. 5th box, you would need like 5 probes. 6th box, you would need like 6 probes. 7th box, you would need like 7 probes. And if it's like, or like, realistically, if it's at the 7th box, like it's basically gonna finish and it's gonna shoot you now. So 7 probes isn't gonna do the job either. Like it's going to finish because it's so close to being done anyways now. But yeah, like just know, if you want to put 3 probes on a cannon, you need to get onto it right away, ideally before the 3rd box has started being produced in health here, like as the health bar progresses. So like this cannon right here, you put a lot of probes on it right away. Yeah. And then you put 2 probes on this cannon, and 2 probes is not going to be enough to stop that right away. So that's why this cannon goes up, because it's already going in the 3rd box, and now it's going into the 4th box, and now you only have 1 probe on it. So that cannon was not a priority. This cannon could have been knocked out by like the Zealot, and this cannon was the priority for sure. But again, if you had 2 probes chasing this, he wouldn't be making all these cannons like this anyways.
Exactly. Okay, got it.
All right, so we'll go ahead and skip past this now. You're definitely gonna take some damage here, and this is why this is super skewed now. Like even though you might not be losing a lot of probes here, you lost 1 probe, which is not that bad. You just slowed your build down like crazy because you had to pull off the mineral line. Yeah, exactly. Like it's just everything's thrown off for you now, so this is definitely not going to be our macro example. And then we'll kind of speed through it now because again, we don't want to spend too much time talking about a macro example that is not that relevant. Yeah. But just for an idea of how to defend cannon rush, that would definitely help you a lot.
Yeah.
Your timing of your 3rd looked fine. You did it before gas, and you did it on a good saturated mineral line. Like so, conceptually, you did that right. You're making your units here. Definitely make a hallucinated phoenix. Also, you made 2 sentries. Definitely don't do that. Just stick to 1. The more sentries you make, the worse your army is, unless you're microing the fucking force fields like a boss or something. Yeah. All right, Yeah, your upgrade timing is fine. You're doing it when you're more than half saturated on your third base. That's not bad. Your robo uptime, I feel like it could use a little bit of work.
Yeah.
Uh, looks like this guy might be doing the same thing. After cannon rush. Or not really, he's got cannons, but yeah. Okay, so your fourth base is good. Yeah, the concepts of what you're doing are not bad so far. We'll definitely like really critique your macro a lot harder though. One thing you're not doing though, actually one thing you're fucking up pretty big here is your chrono boost.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we'll talk about that a lot more. Go ahead if you're gonna say something.
Oh no, I was gonna say that's kind of where that mental trigger, like it's like the 4 or 5 things I'm getting, like you said, right? But it's kind of that mental trigger of how do I, like, and you also talked about the scouting as well too. Like, what are those mental triggers I need? Because obviously I'm having problems keeping everything in my head because it's I'm not used to it. Blah blah blah. It's practice, but how do I conscientiously begin to put that into my
So
play?
with chrono, the only thing you got to remember is the first two, and then after that, it's just like do it as much as you can. So the first two is literally gated by supply, and you're like, okay, well, I can't do my first chrono until my first pylon is done. I can't do my second chrono until my second pylon is done, because if I do a chrono before my first or before my second pylon, with either first or second chrono boost, if the chrono is first ever, you're gonna supply block, and your Nexus is gonna be sitting there with a chrono on it, and just doing nothing. So you have to wait for the first two. But after that, it's just like free reign on your chronos. You're just like, okay, every time it's not on, turn it on. So the trigger literally is my Nexus like spinning around with like crystal fucking animation? And if the answer is no, do it. Every time.
The one question I do have is that when sometimes, let's say there's harass, I put a battery there. And then sometimes I find that like, oh, they're harassing me. My battery's gone. I'm like, oh, crap. I wish I had some battery like recharge left over so I can like charge up my battery. Like, would you still say keep it like that, or would you?
You're talking if you're like getting harassed at your natural and you needed a battery overcharge. I would absolutely still say keep chrono boosting your base because the amount of time that goes by where your Nexus is going to be, because like you can't stack chronos, right? Like it's not like every time you get 50 energy you just do it again because it's gonna build on top of the last one. You still gotta wait for the effect to go through its full duration, so you're gonna be generating energy during the time that it's chrono boosting itself, and you're gonna be able to have energy in the bank that's gonna generate throughout your chrono, and then once it's done, then you can chrono again if you're not being pressured, and that's totally fine. If your opponent shows up to attack you, as soon as they're attacking you, if you think to yourself, okay, this is not just like one Reaper, this is like actually a real attack, I need to defend this, you can, as soon as he engages you, you can absolutely battery overcharge your battery, because you have multiple Nexus that are going to be generating energy on your Nexus like constantly, and it's not going to be much time at all that's going to be needed to generate enough energy to get the battery. Like, don't think to yourself that it's going to be like, if you chrono boost as fast as you can, that you're always going to be at 0 energy on both Nexus every time your opponent attacks you. It's definitely not going to happen. You'll be at like, if you're actually under, you'll probably be at something like, this Nexus is at 31 and this Nexus is at like 44. That's definitely going to be the case, because just straight up, if you chrono boost the Nexus at 50, you're going to be up above like the 20 mark by the time the Nexus is done being chrono boosted. Like, you're going to be in like the 18, 19, 20 area every time. And then that's just like with one Nexus, and both your Nexus are going to have lopsided energies. Like, this one's got a 33 and this one's got 15. Like, we're talking like post 100 mark, okay? Like for like intervals of 50. So if you were to chrono boost, let's just hypothetically say this right now. If you were to chrono boost this Nexus right when you got 50, and it dropped, and it's this Nexus is above this Nexus by 18. So this Nexus would be chrono boosted at 50, or let's just hypothetically say you did it at 50. It'll go back up to like, let's say 18 energy by what it just generates during the chrono. But then when this Nexus is at 18, again, this is still 18 above the other one. This one would be at 50 now, because it's, if you chrono boost it, it would go down to 0 because it's 18 behind this one, right? So, and you chrono boost this one now, and now this one gets chrono boosted, and it goes all the way back down to 0, and then over the whole duration of chrono, it goes back up to 18, But now this one gets plus 18 because it also generates
Yeah.
energy during that time. And now that means that this one's back up to 36. So there's not much time that needs to go by. Like if you were to get attacked right as you chronoed this, you're like, ah, shit. Uh-oh, like I just chronoed and I'm at 0 exactly, which is also not going to be the case much of the time. It's like it's never always going to line up perfectly like that. But every second that goes by, you have time to generate your energy again to where you're only going to need like 15 seconds and then you have a new available battery overcharge out of this nexus again right here. So if they attack you, definitely just use it. As soon as you can.
Yeah, I think my one thing I've noticed before when I was playing, I was like, oh crap, I'm out of chrono. I wish I had some battery overcharge for that base. But then there's a couple things, which is that if that thing is gonna save me from that loss, like then it's I can pull probes off as another thing, and then there's also the habitual thing, which I think is much more important because those are edge cases as opposed to like legit this is gonna happen every game, whereas macros an every game thing.
Well,
Those pressures.
Yeah. And if you think about it like this too, if you just think like pulling probes is definitely something you always could do if you really had to.
Yeah.
But the faster you get your build going, the more units you're gonna have sitting there as well that are gonna be guarding the battery. So and the faster you're gonna have more things to recover with. Where if you actually do lose probes anywhere, you'll have more to just have a pool of that can bounce back quicker. So it's never a good idea to save chrono for the idea of thinking to yourself, well, he's gonna attack though. Like you'll always have it. It will line up eventually, and then even if he attacked you right away when you didn't have it, you still have a battery, and it still does have its own energy bar that can buy you time for the next overcharge.
Agreed. Yep.
But yeah, you definitely want to be chrono boosting your batteries. So, or sorry, I said the wrong thing. You want to be chrono boosting your probes until you're like on 3 base, and then once you have like a good saturation on your third, like talking like 8, 10, 12, 12 probably most ideal, but if you did it like at 8+, it's still really acceptable. Once you do that, you do like your final chrono boost, or maybe like one of your last 2 final chrono boosts, depending on how long it's been up already. But basically the point I'm trying to make here is as soon as these forges are done, ideally you would have wanted to build them at the right time, but as soon as they're done, you can change chronos like you did here to these. But you shouldn't be having like 150 or like 180 or 100+. That's a bit much.
Yep.
And that'll definitely speed you up a lot.
Yep.
Your expansion timings are actually legit though. Like honestly, I was expecting a lot worse.
Like I said, I can just follow the recipe, man.
Yeah. No, it's definitely good. Like this is post aggression too. This is really way better than I thought you were gonna do. But I like your gateway wall here. This is mostly a Zerg thing, but I don't mind if you do it against Protoss.
I was running out of room. I was like, whatever, F it.
Right? Okay, so you actually did a pretty good job, honestly. But the one thing you kind of messed up on here is you took way too long to move out. So you did scout, which I love. I see you scouted the sides to find out where expansions were. But you max out. This is something a lot of people do that they always mess up on when they're like getting comfortable with like getting ready to start going into the attacking style. And this is something that once you get to Diamond League, you'll definitely have a better grasp of doing this while macroing. But like right now, you max out at like 1032, 1033. Because you maxed out like a couple seconds ago based off the build time here. And you should be going across the map like right now. Like you should literally right now be like, let's go attack this area, like attack here, and then shift attack here, and then shift attack here, like right this second, 10:35. But if you look at the clock here, you move forward, you chill here, and now we're rocking over 11 minutes here, and it has been almost. You're now getting ready to attack, and you maxed out almost a full minute ago. So ideally, you would have wanted this attack, because I'm not going to say the second you max out, you should already be like just teleporting to here, but you just across from this location to this location, or rather, this location here to going to this location here would have taken you probably only like 30 seconds. So you could have been attacking, or like to do what you're doing as well, to split. So this attack could have been going on about like 25 seconds ago, or like. Roughly.
So just to touch on that point, I think the reason why I was waiting for the Templars to whatever turn to Archons or whatever they're called. So it sounds like
I have an idea for you really quick. Sorry to interrupt you really fast. if you move command in Archon, it'll actually respond to a command. If you what's it called? If you a move, and an Archon will not a move, but if you move command, I do. Am I remembering this wrong? But I think it's right. Like if you move command in Archon, it will definitely have a. I think it has a rally.
Move along. I think it moves. I think it moves too. Yeah, I remember moving it before. Trying to form up or something.
The ball only moves if it's being pushed. That is 100%. Like it won't actually move itself if it's currently morphing into Archon. But I think it gives it a rally point if you move command it. I might be wrong on that, but either way, here's the thing. This is really important to know this, or like it's relevant, I guess. You can move command once to get going across the map, and then move command again when they're done. So like if your army's actually like right here and the Archon's finished and they're right there, they'll just come after, and that's totally fine. And then what you have a second to be like, all right, I'm gonna have some army go left, some army go right, and I think this is not bad. This is definitely something I recommended that people start doing to learn how to micro and take better engagements. To like actually having more surface area. When you A move this as well, because you're gonna A move it, right? It has to be. That's why you have a red line here. The Archons again are gonna respond to that command as well, and this is going to be a very large clump of units that's just gonna be traffic jamming this area for a little bit. So your Archons will catch up and get in the fight. It's not like they're gonna be gone, like arriving when this is all dead already, realistically. So that it makes more sense to capitalize on time and go really fast than it does to wait on it. And another thing you could argue or say would be in the future, it would probably make more sense to make the unit that it takes longer to prepare, like the Archon, before you max, and then maybe finish off your max on like a Zealot. So it's just quick, and you just do it, and you go for the attack. All right. So now if you saw that, if you took a glance at his army and went, oh, you are going mass void rays, you still had this attack, even though you lost everything. This was still a great attack because you killed his entire mineral line. This guy is actually kind of, you're putting him more and more into an all-in state with this army. And if you just followed up with a lot of Archons like you did, that'd be fine. And then chrono boosting your upgrades as well would be huge. Getting your base going like you are, which is great. This Dark Shrine's maybe a bit excessive. I'm not gonna lie. You kind of need that gas right now. But Archons and Stalkers would be fine. Either one of those. Like Archons would be superior because they are just better units. But Stalkers would also be fine. So you could go back into making Archon Stalker against this, and then make another Observer just because he has a fucking mothership, and you're probably gonna lose that Observer.
Yeah.
And then if you ever are like, well, I have a lot of minerals like this in the bank right now, and I can't spend my gas on Archon Stalker. And the cool thing you could do is you could just make more gateways and make a bunch of Zealots until you have more gas to make Stalkers and Archons. And then a cool thing you could do as well is if your opponent ever attacked you, you could go, all right, select all army, A move the Void Rays, like with my army, and then you could go like this. You could be like, oh, if I have my whole army selected, you could control click your Zealots. This is something I didn't teach you in BDGM, but it's something you could do because you definitely should be spending your money. Like the fact that you have 3.6 is definitely high. You don't want to have that much. Even though your gas is low, you should still be making Zealots. You could just control click your Zealots and go like this. A move towards his natural.
Yeah, I've been doing that. I've been like, not the perfect thing. I've been trying to prong them. Just because I was like, I got something. I need to do something with my money.
Yeah, right. You definitely do.
But yeah.
And then, this kind of overwhelms you and kills you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, at this point, you're definitely dead. But like that, I feel like that DT gas is a big reason why you lost that fight. Because you actually believe, like, I feel like this fight is it's an army that stacks up super hard. There is definitely a tipping point for you in this army about how you can defend it. And if you just had more Archon and more Stalker here, you need like enough time for your units to like be able to stay alive to also do the damage. So this Dark Shrine could have been worth a lot more of defense here for you, and also
upgrades. I think.
I mean, it's fine. I'm just like thinking to myself, like, you got Blink, which is another gas expense, but I mean, I think I do tell you to get Blink anyway, so it's fine. But yeah, no, it's really realistically, you have so many units that could be fighting here too. Like if all your army was grouped up and you just had no gas investment in the Dark Shrine, you definitely could have defended this, I feel. Yeah, Yeah, you did have a lot of stuff that could have defended if you grouped it up with Archons. And then yeah, just game over. So yeah, I mean overall not bad though. Like your macro, not that bad. I'm actually kind of be more impressed than I would have been than the original thought I had. I didn't think you were gonna be able to macro that well against it. Okay, so let's jump into the next one. This is the carrier game, and let's take a little bit of a deeper look at like the first like 6 minutes of your gameplay, and kind of figure out what's going on, and then we'll kind of speed through the rest again like we did last time, just to see if you're making like some easy to fix mistakes and stuff. Tomato. There we go. All right. So. Okay, so already your probe is going to be late on the pylon. This is something you definitely don't want to mess up. Got to make sure you stay on top of making sure you're like, basically think about it like this. Every time you're able to build a building in your build, essentially, there's like a timer that should be starting like as soon as it's available to be started.
Oh, sorry. Can I just have me on pause there? Somebody's just calling for me right now. Sorry about that.
Sure, no problem.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna mute my mic for a second, and I'm just gonna say hi, chat. Hey, chat, how you doing? Hey, YouTube. Hope you guys are having a good day. What up, everybody?
Oh, sorry, I'm back.
Yeah, welcome back. No worries. So basically, like the pylon definitely is gonna be a little bit late now, and if the pylon's late, it means that you might supply block. It also means that your gateway is gonna be late. It means your core is gonna be late. Everything's just gonna be late because it's all based off of the tech path. So this is gonna be a little bit painful for you. So definitely make sure you're always rallying that first Nexus probe. That pylon placement, it's a little fucky again. Like if it was maybe down to the right, or sorry, to the left and down one, it would be a lot better. But yeah, it's not the worst pylon. I'm not gonna say that. It's still doable. But here's the problem with your pylon right now. It's more exposed to the cliff now, which is that's not a good thing for you. And it's also like if you try to wall the right side here, it's going to be like gateway touching the pylon, so it's really easy for your opponent to snipe it if they even just go up the ramp. The closer your pylon is to like in the wall, the more snipeable your pylons are because they're more exposed to the surface area. All right, your gas this time was a lot better, and your chrono was a lot better. We'll look at your Nexus one more time. So yeah, you're gonna supply block this game for like 6 seconds. So your probe's finishing right now at 38 seconds in the game, and now you're supply blocked, and the pylon's not gonna be finished for 7 seconds. This is fucking huge. This is throwing this. I'm not even joking. This throws your build off so hard because every single like this. So if you think about it, if you're like, I want to make 85 probes. This is a big concept that a lot of people like you understand and you appreciate to not mess your probes up if you really just like respect this concept. If you're gonna make a bunch of Nexus, let's say you make like 6 Nexus throughout this game, which is totally fine, and then because you're gonna want to take like 6 bases or something like that, and your goal is like 85 probes. This Nexus is going to be making probably like 45 of those 85 probes. It's not making like 1/4 if you're fully saturated by the time you're on 4 bases. It's making like more than 50% of all the probes you're going to be using because it's up the entire time and you're just transferring probes to other bases. Your 4th base is only going to make probably like 3 probes or 4 probes by the time it's done. It's barely going to even make any because you're gonna, at that point you're going to be making probes 4 at a time and you're already almost done as it is anyways. So this Nexus now, having 7 seconds of supply block, it now means that if you're only on 15 probes, and this Nexus honestly has only made 3, and it still needs to make another like 40-ish probes itself, just because again this thing is going to probably produce around 45 probes. Now every single probe for the next like high 30 to low 40 count is always going to be guaranteed 7-second delayed going forward from now on. And let's just, if you think about it, like if you think like, okay, well, if a probe can mine about 1 mineral per second, like, because that's what they average. Now, if you have just make an easy number. If you have 40 probes that are now going to be delayed by 7 seconds, that is now 40 times 7, which is 200. It's 28. But if we do 40 times 7, that's 280. So you're now guaranteed, because of the 7-second supply block, you are going to be missing 280 minerals at a certain point in the game when you hit your first 285 probes. You're now like that many minerals behind where you would have wanted to have been otherwise, because every probe is delayed. So every probe is delayed that amount of time, and you're going to basically just constantly be down that resources. You don't get that back.
It's compound interest.
Right? Yeah, like you're just always going to be negative there for that, and it's like if you fuck it up again at any point in time, it's going to go again in that realm of whatever's left again, and it's going to add on top of what you've already lost. So it's definitely something you want to try really hard to not fuck up. So you always at the start of the game, every single time, it should be a sequence of make a probe, rally point, my probe to where the pylon's going to go. Every single time. You never just leave the rally point on the mineral line. And then as soon as the probe starts, or sorry, as soon as it finishes and pops out of the nexus, because again, you want to rally it because the probe rally point spawns it over here rather than spawning here and then having to run around the nexus, in the bottom left, that is. So if you spawn it at a top right, it makes it to where you get there super fast and build your pylon immediately, rather than having to run around. So it just saves you, just saving time is huge there. And then go back and look at your pylon here one more time with the gateway. So again, you would want to have a probe being pulled around the time when your pylons, I would say about now, even, like or like now, like around like 14, 15. That's okay. You're pulling a probe. This is good. Much better. This is much better than last time. Your pylon was much worse this time than last game, but this gateway is looking like it's gonna be much better, and you build it like right away when the pylon's done. So the only mistake you made there, pretty good, but the only mistake you made there was if you're gonna build a gateway, put your probe in the radius of where you're going to build the gateway. So think about like where the box of the gateway is going to be and try to stand inside of it in some area, the bottom left of it, the bottom right of it, the top right, the top left, somewhere inside this box, because then you instantly build it. Because if you notice, you actually stopped your probe and then you moved again. And that's not a big deal. You're like, oh, it barely stopped. It was almost still moving, but at the same time, deceleration and then acceleration, it is more time consuming than just constantly moving. So like,
so I get that point. So that probe there, do you recommend just parking the probe and waiting for the pylon to be finished?
Definitely not.
No. Okay. So send it back, get a mine a couple times, watch the pylon, pre-send it, and then just time that. Okay.
So, yeah, try to send the probe when the pylon is at least half, if not like 2/3 of the way done.
Yep. Okay.
And then like 2/3 would be perfect. Half would be acceptable. Because if your probe's sitting here for like 1 or 2 seconds and then you build a gateway immediately, that's still fine. But you don't want to have this be late. Your pylon's already late, and now this is late on top of that. And this is something that people always say this kind of shit where they're like, Vibe, I'm not saying you said this, but people literally tell me this all the time. Yeah. They're like, your series doesn't work against all ins. It doesn't work. Whatever, like you never get all in, and I do, and I don't understand why does it not work for me, but it works for you. Like you're playing bad players, or like players got way better since you did this, and it's because they do shit like this. They don't realize it. They're like, oh, my pylon's 7 seconds late, and then my gateway's 5 seconds late, and now I don't even know that. By the time I started my gateway, my build's 12 seconds behind, and now that means all my units are going to be behind. And that's if I don't make another mistake starting now, so I don't have enough units to actually defend myself. So when they get attacked by some bullshit timing, they only have like 1/3 of the army they should have, because if they should have like 3 stalkers out by now, but they kept delaying everything. They know that, let's say the core is 10 seconds late. It's like, oh, well, so much time has gone by that you're just not building units because you can't yet. And you have 1 stalker when you should have 3, and you get attacked by some random fucking bunker or something, and it breaks you. And you're like, oh, well, the build sucks. It doesn't, though. Your macro sucks. So for sure, like, this is something you need to respect a lot. And you are already behind a little bit. Like, the gateway's like 1 second further behind than it should be, and the pylon's 7. So you're like 8 seconds behind already.
Yeah. 1/3 of a stalker.
Yeah. Alright, and then your gas is fine. Your scout is also fine. And your nexus is good. So, forge again. This guy could be cannon rushing you again. Definitely something that could happen now. This is one of those probes that show up late though. So this could be a defensive cannon rush, or sorry, defensive cannon type of player. But that forge is fucking so expensive. Yeah, like you don't ever make a forge that fast unless you plan on making cannons. Now let's go back and watch really quickly on your core. So your core should be starting at your first 150 minerals starting now. So your core could be started right now at 139. And let's see how long it takes you to build the core. 139 is when a core could be going down. Not bad. Not bad. 142. It's only 3 seconds late. It could still be faster. But if your gateway is like 1 second late, your pylon's like 7 seconds late. Pylon, 1 second late gateway, and 3 seconds late on your core. Means you're overall 11 seconds behind on your production already. Which is starting to become a little bit substantial. But that core was definitely done better than I would have expected again. Like some of these, you're definitely at a decent level of, I could definitely see a lot of potential where you can keep improving. Because you're actually like still chasing the probe after scouting a forge and you still managed to get the core down that fast. A lot of people, I'm not going to lie, would have been distracted as fuck being like, where's the cannons? Where are they?
Well, that's why I chased them.
No, I know that's why I chased them.
I was like, show me where the cannon is.
But like, this
But
is definitely not the priority, and you didn't make the priority of that. You made the priority building your core. So that was definitely a lot better than I expected. Because a lot of people would be panicking right now and just like watching this. And then this is already doing what it's doing. You can't do anything else here. You're chasing it. AI is doing the job for you. So I love that you actually built the core still. That's so important. But you should be chrono boosting your or no, you shouldn't. I'm just joking. Just joking. Yeah, build your second pylon yet.
Yeah.
You should be building your gas though. You should be doing that and then building your pylon. You could be building both buildings really soon. Like right now, you could already have both buildings started because it's only 175 in total. So you're gonna supply block because you're too close to your probe now. So this is gonna slow you down.
Yeah, I was probably watching him.
You're actually building it with this guy too, who's coming back. There we go, he did a different one. And then you need that pylon. But you're starting the pylon, like, almost when you're done with this probe here. This pylon should be, ideally, this pylon should be finishing, like, right now. Right as this probe is about to pop out. But, so, like, ideally, you want the pylon to be started, not on this probe, but on the probe before it, just before it's halfway done. Because that's when you could have afforded it. When we were looking at, you had like 175 minerals in the bank that were not being spent yet. That's when you could have thrown it down, and if you did, you would not have supply blocked here. But now you're going to supply block for a total of 15 seconds again. So remember what we said earlier about, I can't remember the number we gave you. I think it was 7 seconds with the pylon. But you were supply block.
I think we're at 11 seconds right now, and then we're at 20. So it's like it's a stalker. I'm doing a stalker map. So, yeah.
So this time I'm talking about just your probes. So we're just basing it like, so the gateway is irrelevant now for this one. It's just the pylon because you were supply blocked before.
Yep.
So you were blocked for 7 seconds before. We're talking about the 40 probe thing we mentioned.
Yeah.
And now you're adding 11 to that, or sorry, 15 to that. You're adding 15 seconds to that now. So every probe now. So now you're at 23. And if this Nexus was gonna make 40 probes, and now or like 45 or whatever, but we just went off the number of 40, and you were like 280 minerals behind. You'd have to do it again and go, okay, well now, since then, I've made like another, like 7 probes. So now, let's say I'm going to make 33 more probes. Now, 33 probes are now also delayed by another 15 seconds. So that's 33 times 15. Add that to your fucking, what you're missing in minerals of what's going to develop in your build over time. Because every probe is always going to be, you can't speed it up. Every probe is now delayed. Because it's just, they're all in an assembly line, one after the other. Yep. And now this puts more, like, it's not, this is where the math gets a little weird. It's not fully like you're just going to make probes off this Nexus, so that number I'm giving you is not exact, because you will now recover some of that a little bit off of future Nexuses, because it'll mean now instead of your 4th base only making 4, it'll probably make 6 now. So you'll make it a little bit faster than otherwise, but you're still down in the negative overall. And it definitely is painful. All right, and then these buildings are a little bit too fast. you want to be starting these after. To be fair, they're not. They're not. I'm just joking. They're not. The reason why they're not is because you've blocked. Like your build's fucked.
Yeah.
Like ideally, what you want to be happening here is you're building the sentry, and then during the sentry, you're building these, right? But you couldn't because you were fucking.
Yeah. Sounds like whatever. Cut a corner.
Yeah. Well, that's fine. It's if you mess it up, you definitely want to just spend your resources. If you're like, oh, well, I have a lot, so I have to kind of like speed things up a little bit. That's totally fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, ideally you'd want to have these started like it just means that your sentry's late. So that's what we were talking about earlier. When like if you just don't have units, you're way more susceptible to all-ins. All right, and your third pilot should definitely be going down. Good job. Like at your natural. That's exactly what I was about to say. Where is your stalker? There we go. And you're not chrono boosting. Again.
Yep.
So definitely don't save Chronos, like we talked about before. It's only going through slowly.
It's honestly a mental thing. I just can't remember. I just like it's not habitual.
Yeah, I just literally, if your Nexus isn't doing that, the animation of like the crystal swirls, fucking do it. Like just put it on every time you don't see it. And another thing you can see too, in the game that is going to be a indicator as to when you need to do it again is the gray bar above the Nexus. So have actually like try to commit that to memory to going, okay, I should be looking at that gray bar above the Nexus, and it's a timer that goes, okay, well that gray bar in total is worth 20 seconds, right? So if that little bit is left right there, I can read that as a number, even though it's a bar. I can read that as a number that probably means about 2 or 3, maybe. Like, and if we look at it, it says 3. So, and it's definitely like probably either 2 and a decimal because it might round up, or it's actually like hitting 3 and going down. Either way, though, it's about to, it's seconds. It's going to be off. Yep. So get ready to do it again and be ready for it. Mentally, you're like, okay, chrono needs to be done soon, and then you're like, okay, well, but it's not done yet. Quickly make a unit, make a pylon, and now come back to it again and go, okay, well, now it's done, and do it again. Chrono does not have to be exact like probes do. Like probes definitely need to never miss a beat here on probes. If you do that, it's super painful. But at least with chrono, if you miss like 4 seconds from one chrono to the other, it's really like not that bad because your probe is still being built either way. And you're going to spend this Nexus energy either way eventually. As long as you're within a few seconds of each chrono, like 5-10 seconds of each chrono, or like exact, you're still going to get full benefit from it, and it's totally fine. Because either way, your probes are always building, and you're always going to run out of energy on your Nexus. Eventually, it's not going to be permanent chrono. So you're always going to have these downtimes where you catch up either way where you would have been. It's going to put you in the same spot. Obviously, faster is a little bit better, but we're talking about literally the difference of like 4 minerals or like 6 minerals. If you're like, that one probe came out 3 seconds faster on both Nexus, but like you still have it either way because you're still building probes ideally. But if you ever do something like this where you're chrono boosting a Nexus and you're not building a probe, that's fucking extra painful for sure.
Exactly.
All right, so overall, I mean, your macro's all right. It's not that bad, but I think we'll go through this now really fast. Yeah. We'll talk about some ideas about what you're doing in the game, but I'll give you a final example that we talked about before we're done here at the coaching lesson.
Yeah. Right.
And it'll give you like some actual like numbers, checkpoints to hit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your expansions are not bad though, but your chrono boosting is definitely your problem, like one of your biggest problems.
Yeah.
It keeps happening. I got that right there. I'm not gonna lie. That kind of like just fucked you really bad. You lost 15 probes to a zealot.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I know. But I'm still up. I'm still up in terms of the numbers.
No, for
right?
sure.
Which is hilarious. Like it's
macro machine over here. But I mean, you could make it even better, but you're still macroing well enough, right? To be ahead of your opponent at least.
Yeah.
Now let's see. I want to see when you max out. Like you should honestly probably even go like now. Yeah. So you would already be maxed if you weren't disrupted there. Yeah. But this is such a little amount of supply, and you might even still make some probes with this if you want to go above 80, which either way would be fine. But if you were like going now, the last little bit of supply here is not going to change much of the fight for you. But what will change the fight for you is if you wait much more. We'll use 1045 as a start here, okay? But if you wait too much longer, Like you even have gateways that are available to be used right now. You have like a robo that's ready. You have 6 gates that are ready. That is way more than 7 supplies worth of units. That's like 16 supply worth of units that could be made right now. So you could max out right in the second right now if you really wanted to, because you also have enough money to make your last 7 supply easily. That's enough money to make that. But let's see how long you wait till you attack. Okay, not that bad. You moved up at least a little bit, but you're doing the same thing as last time. Is you're kind of like chilling for a long time here, and it's the exact same thing as last time. Almost a full minute has gone by before you're actually taking the fight. Definitely got to speed that up.
So just to break down that concept is like I should like a move, do something for quick 5 seconds, check back where it is, and if they're still moving, fine, split them up, a move, and then just get it going. Don't worry about the perfection of them being clumped up in a ball. Just get it half-assed, get it in there, and get them fighting.
Kinda. I would say you need to just like have an assertive thing to go. Okay, well I'm about to max out, or like I just did max out. The second you do, select an army, go there now. Go to where you want to go now. Like, and then go back to your base and set up whatever you want to set up while you're going there.
Yep.
And then you could even be like, once you're like, okay, I'm good. I just chronoed my forges or whatever, and I'm feeling good. I just set up a cannon, and I'm like, my army is like there. It's on its way up to there, but it's there right now, and I see it's about to be there. You could even be like, okay, green box half my army and walk there.
Yeah.
And then you now once again have like to go from here to having your army go there and there is going to take another like 5 seconds. And if you wanted to be like, okay, quickly just go cannon, battery, battery, or cannon, cannon, battery, whatever the fuck you want to do. Just don't think about it in your head, just like we talked about like the chrono boost timer, like having that gray bar. Now the army moving is your timer on the map.
Got it.
And you go, okay, well the second it arrives, I need it to go in. So you could spread it like you did, do a pre-fight micro, like I think we called it pre-fight micro in the series. You spread it really fast, and the second it's starting to spread out like this, you just go. Because if we look at it, you were at the 193 at 1045. So you gained 5 supply since that happened. But now if we go back to 1045, what is...
He put on 20.
Yeah, exactly, right? Your opponent is at 115 at 1045, and then now your opponent is at 133, right? Yeah, so like you just said, it's basically almost putting on 20 supply of just, that's definitely a lot more than you put on. You put on 5, you put on 20. He's evening the odds here, which is only going to give you a higher percentage chance to lose the fight here.
Yeah.
Okay, and then, I mean, the fact that he has Zealots in his base, I love it. Great shit. I mean, they should definitely be attacking. But oh shit, whoops, I did not mean to do that. That fight definitely did not go well for you, which is, it's okay. It's how it goes sometimes. But if you actually had pushed a little bit, like if that Zealot didn't wipe out your whole mineral line down here and it didn't slow you down, and then if you actually pushed assertively where like the second you maxed you pushed, that fight would have gone a lot better for you. Because for someone to just straight up open carrier and just start making carriers right away, it can nowhere even remotely contest the supply advantage of what Stalker, Archon, Zealot, Immortal is going to give you. Like, you're just going to have a massively overwhelming supply lead. And if you actually push quickly with that too, there'll be less carriers, and the less carriers there are, the more like you're going to win the fight.
I thought this video was be a great example of the macro, because I would have starved them, right? If I had maxed out at 930, I would have starved them. And
you 100% you would have, because what would have happened is you guaranteed you would have killed all the interceptors, and then he probably wouldn't have lost his carriers, because you probably would have went, oh, my interceptors are dead, let's fly my carriers from here to here, and then let this base die, and then he'd be on 2 base Protoss, because you could kill this base. And then if you're scouting the sides of the map too, you should see there's no bases, no bases, no bases, no bases. And if there was, you'd want to be killing that. And then eventually, like, you might not guaranteed break the natural with your first push, but like you might even know you may or may not. But at that point, he's going to be like starving on resources in his main,
Yeah.
and he's going to be starving on resources in his natural. And if you max out again and you're not starving, you push again, and you're going to start breaking him. And he's going to break this base, and then eventually he's just going to die.
Yeah.
All right, so you are absolutely dead again, though, this game, unfortunately, because, I mean, he has too many carriers at this point for you to really contest. Like, well, I'll see you take another fight here, but I imagine you're just going to get destroyed.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's too many at this point.
Yep.
Like, this unit, you can definitely kill carriers, okay? I just want you to know that.
Yep.
If they're maxed out, it is still doable. But at this point now, you've lost too much of your own infrastructure to recover, because the only way you're going to be able to beat this, if it's maxed out, is if you have a weight and you're not making the same thing, is if you have more bank than he does. If you have more income than he does, and now you're actually being crippled, so you don't. Like, it's going to drop even faster as time goes on. Here's a cool tip, okay? You don't have to do this, but if you ever want to try this, I don't recommend you do this, but I just want to give you a cool tip. This is just an interesting tip. If you have Archons, and you're fighting, you know for a fact your opponent is going mass carriers, feel free to try this if you want to. It's a micro thing. It's not a macro thing. You should be able to beat this with macro, okay? But if you want to go, okay, Vibe says macro is the key here, but this is fucking annoying, and I just want to do one thing to make this fight a little easier for myself.
Yeah.
Just make, like, try to have, like, 10 Archons, okay? Or, like, 12 Archons, like, a lot of Archons. And then have, like, 2 or 3 High Templars. Or, like, let's say 4, because you can turn them into Archons after, so an even number would be great.
Yeah.
Like, 4 High Templars with Storm. And all you do is, as soon as you engage the carriers, throw one, don't panic, but just throw one Storm periodically at the surface area of your Archons. And if you storm your own Archons, the Storm doesn't do nearly as much damage to an Archon, as it, like, percentage-wise, as it does to a Interceptor. Like, it does, like, twice, or it basically, like, one Storm will kill an Interceptor, and one Storm will only do about, like, 1/4 or 1/5 of the Archon's health. Like, more like a 4th. It's like a 5th. It actually is like a 5th. It's like 1/5 of the Archon's health. No, no, it's like a 4th. I'm just joking. Sorry, I can't do fucking math.
The point is, if I want to storm my Archons, it's gonna hurt them a lot more than it's gonna hurt.
Oh, 100% it is. Because you're gonna be hitting, like, for every one Archon that's taking damage, about 15 Interceptors are taking damage. So you're multiplying the damage of that one Storm by, like, 15 on every Interceptor he has that's taking damage from it, versus the one Archon you're taking damage. Because a Storm does about 80 damage per Storm, and an Interceptor has 80 health, and then a Archon has 360. Because it has 350 for the Archon's shield, and then it has 10 hit points for real. So, I mean, you're going to fucking do a ton of damage to his Interceptors, and they're all going to just explode, and then they're all dead, and then now there's no Interceptor DPS. So you could do that if you're finding it really annoying to engage this shit. But again, don't make that. The only reason why I was kind of hesitant to say that kind of shit to people is because that shouldn't be your go-to. If you're realizing that you have to do this, there is a problem with your macro, especially if this is Platinum League. But it's something that's nice to know in case you ever do fuck it up, and you're in a point where you're like, well, I'm gonna die though. Well, now you have an idea of how to answer that and respond.
Got it. Okay.
All right, so I'm gonna jump out of this, and I'm gonna give you a example game now, and then I'll save the replay and I'll send it to you.
Yeah, that'd be great.
All right. Okay, I'll just make this map. All right, and then I'll just do an AI, whatever, it doesn't matter.
Can you mind doing Zerg? I find the wall.
Sure, yeah, sure. Let's do it. No, we can do it. Good. See, I love that you asked that. Yeah, there's something you wanted, and you spoke up, and there you go. Now you got it. Hell yeah. Yeah. Some people are way too nice, and they're like, oh, dang it, I wanted him to do that, but I'm not gonna say anything.
Well, we can buy more coaching again.
That'll be all right. Okay, so make our probe, and we'll grab one side and put it on the mineral line. If you do that, if you don't do mineral splits already, you should probably start practicing it. But if you, it's okay. It's not the end of the world if you aren't doing it yet. Okay, so we're gonna take our natural wall. Okay, so again, I don't want to put my pylon too close. So if I put it like right there, the edge of my pylon is gonna be able to get shit done for me. You know, on that regard. Okay, so my pylon. So I'm gonna pause. I'm actually gonna pause really fast. and say something that's really important really quickly, because for me not to feel like I'm having fucking spastic talking, I'll pause it so it actually comes out clearly. If you ever take a natural at the low ground, because we're talking about Zerg, okay? This is why, it's because chat's also like, high ground and low ground, PvP. He wanted a Zerg example. So if we're talking about Zerg walling, and you're walling off the low ground, the natural area, this is just honestly, I would say you can mine like a mineral patch here. That's totally fine if you want to. But you don't really have a lot of time to send your probe back and then come back again. So it's totally fine. Just do not fuck it up. This is bigger priority is to not fuck the wall up. This is when you actually should leave the probe at the wall, pretty much, until your pylon's done. But if you're
that I discovered.
If you're walling the high ground though, you don't need to leave your probe there because it's such a short travel time. You can easily mine a patch, come back, and do it again. Once you get really high level, you'll realize that really high level Protosses can totally maximize like getting that one mineral turn in, even though they pile on the low ground, and then coming back and still getting their building on time. But you have to like be very assertive about that and never miss like a fucking second, and otherwise you're gonna mess your wall up. And if you mess your wall up, it's not worth the 5 minerals that you're getting out of that. So just don't fuck your wall up. Just leave your probe at the low ground if you go low ground. But if you go high ground, definitely turn in a mineral and come back. So you don't just waste time sitting there. All right. And now we're going to build our gate off one side of the wall really fast. We can go scout. We can build our gas. And we can chrono boost our nexus. Stack our closed patches. Get maximum mineral mining. Okay, and then get our last patch with 2 that has 1 on it, the very final one. So we're looking at, we're actually monitoring our mineral line during this and making sure we get 2 probes per patch. We're not just randomly letting them go because there's nothing going on right now anyway, so it's really easy to maximize that and manage that.
Do you mind pausing that? Because what I find with mineral stacking is that it's either I get tunneled vision or I get or I just like if I focus too much on it on tunnel vision. So usually what I do is I do my best, and I'm just like, if I spend more than 5 seconds on this and it doesn't look and it doesn't seem to work, I just say fuck it and I just move on to something else.
The biggest tip I can give you about mineral stacking, about how to make sure it goes properly, is the concept is you should always have a probe sitting on the mineral patch as your probe leaves. So like, because they stack with each other, right? The probes actually walk into each other. So you can't really always tell exactly what probe is there, like how many are like stacked into each other. But the best way you can see it is if there is only one probe on a mineral patch, that patch, because okay, so let me say it like this to not make it confusing, just to start over. Look at the patch, not the nexus, not the middle. You look at the patch. And when a patch has a probe that is missing for like a good like 5 seconds, that is a single probe patch. And that is bad. You need to put 2 on that. And you should always maximize the close ones before the far ones when you do that. That just optimal. You don't have to do this on any base other than your main base, because it's too much shit going on the natural third, whatever. It's really important to do on your main though, because there's nothing going on right now, and this is something you can do to maximize your opener. It bursts through like everything a little bit faster. So close patches first, far patches second. Look at the mineral patches themselves. If the probe is gone for 5 seconds or so, you need to put another probe on it. If the probe is missing for about 1 second, or like not like half a second, like very, very brief amount of time, like basically as the probe is leaving, if another probe is arriving, that is properly saturated. But if a probe is leaving and another probe is still sitting there, if a probe literally never disappears, it's always something sitting there, it means you have 3. And 1 and 3 are bad, 2 is perfect. So the balance you're looking for is, you're looking for, every patch needs to have a situation where as 1 leaves, 1 arrives. So you're going to have this like very minor brief interval of time where there's going to be nothing actually just having a probe like staring at the mineral patch, if that makes sense.
It's a training thing. I try to click on the patches. Does it sound like the right thing?
You can if you want to click the patches, you can do that. It's going to take you longer though, because that means your eyeballs. It confuses the heck out of me. Your eyeballs are going to be the bottom middle of the screen if you do that. Yeah, you're going to be looking at the number. It sounds like I
just need to train my eyeballs.
Yeah, it's really like I'm actually. We'll start this over. I'm going to give you an example of this really fast. Just look at the mineral line really fast, and now we'll put like 8 probes on it really fast. So we'll have each mineral patch having 1, and now you can see with the probes only having one per patch, if you stare at the patches, there's like just stare at the middle two, like right in this area right here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now notice how a probe leaves and it's gone for a long time, right?
Yeah.
And now if we put a second probe on the patch, you're gonna be like, okay, now watch the patch. Watch this area right here. Watch that green box right there. Okay, just watch that area. And now notice how as one leaves, one arrives. Pretty much. So like once they get probably there, now they're probably saturated because it was I just saturated so they got fucked up. But now as one leaves, one always arrives. And then it's now a little bit easier to see like, okay, well now we have ourselves a fucking, there's like a very minor brief interlap or like of time where there's no probe. But now if I put a third probe on it, watch this. There's never going to be a moment where a probe is not sitting there waiting. We'll just wait for them to get stacked for one turn in here. So now at this point, they'll be stacked. Now always watch this area and there's never a probe missing. You don't want that.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's all you like. You don't want to look. Don't look in the middle here because if you're looking in the middle and you just see shit like this in the middle, where you're like, fuck, I can't tell like what is what here, dude. Like, this is like everywhere. It's definitely gonna be confusing. But now I want you to look at the mineral patches really quickly. Again, do not look at the middle. Do not look at the nexus. Just look at the patches. So look at this patch. Does it look fine? Look at this patch. Does it look good? Look at this patch. Does it look good? This patch. And again, you're looking right next to the patch. Like where the probe stands while it mines it. That's where you're looking. You're just doing a quick glance from left to right. And now if you had to tell me, what patch do you think is fucked up here, really quickly? What patch is fucked up?
I think they're all working, aren't they?
No. Look at bottom right.
No. Oh yeah, yeah, the second
Okay.
bar patch.
Now I want you to take a quick glance and try to see. So here, and this is a tip, okay? If you ever notice, I just want you to. This is a really big thing you need to understand. If you ever notice one of your patches is fucked up, and you're like, oh, there's only one on that patch. Always look at the far patches first for the one that is fucked up as well. Because if you have a fucked up patch that only has one, it means that another one's fucked up with three.
Oh yeah.
So, like, odds are really high. I would say it's like 99% to 1%. Okay, it's almost 100% chance that the patch with 3 is a far patch.
Yep.
So it's going to be either the top middle one or it's going to be the 2 in the very middle.
Yeah, I actually just caught it. I think it's in the middle.
Exactly. It's 100%. It's the second one in the right and the middle. But always if you go, oh, well, there's only one with 1. Okay, what one has 3? Always look at the far patches first, and then it's always a good idea to look at the middle first, anyways, because there's 2 there, and you just want to look. You want to like literally scan this area right here and go, okay, which one of you has 3? And if the answer is neither of them, this one very likely has 3, and you just rip one off and send it there to the other side, and you're good to go. But that's the trick. Literally, the easiest thing to find is when something is missing, and then trial and error. Look at the far patches to fix it. The close patches, all you really want to make sure is you want to make sure that nothing exists like that in a close patch.
Yeah.
It's really the trick to mineral stacking is fixing what's missing, not looking at the overflowing mass of this shit where you're like, okay, I can't tell what is what right now.
Yeah.
Like that's what I'm saying. If you look at the probes, you're fucking like you're doing it wrong. It's gonna be confusing. But if you look at the patches, it's way easier to tell what's having a problem. Because right now, like, just look at how much they stand out. The 2 patches that I just fucked up. We're talking about top left and bottom right. The mineral patch has nothing. Mineral patch has nothing. Now it has something. And then the probe mines, probe leaves, mineral patch has nothing, mineral patch has nothing. You can tell also because they're not, the mineral patch itself is not lighting up anymore for like a long time. So like if you just look at the minerals or where the probe mines it, it's really easy to tell. And what I just said probably makes sense. And it might still feel a little confusing, but I guarantee if you spend a couple days on this and you just go, oh yeah, fuck, okay, I can, it's gonna like click and be like, okay, no, I can easily tell now. Like this actually.
No, the visual cues help. Like it really does.
Yeah. All right, I'll start it one more time really fast, and we'll just go through this, and then yeah.
I'll keep my mouth shut.
No, you're totally fine, dude. Like this is what coaching's for. I want you to get as much out of it as you can.
Okay.
So you're all good. It's just we're over time, so I'm probably gonna go through it.
Yeah, yeah.
You're all,
Speed
you're
through
all
it.
good. You're all good. No, don't even worry about it.
9 minutes, go.
If I was really bothered about it, I could always end it, but I don't want to. I want to make sure you get this. Alright, so here we go again. We'll do the build. Okay, and we'll stack our patches, rally the Nexus. So look at the patches in the middle for the far patches first. And then even though they only have one on it, we can still stack the close patches because close patches are more optimal. And then we can build our pylon. Like right there, it's fine. And then this puts us with like a good radius of pylon action where we can have it to the edge of the doorway where it's not too close, so it's the pylon's gonna be tucked away a little bit. Like if you see the pylon, I'm gonna be building the gateway like there, not there. So the gateway goes down like right there. So the gateway is protruding out of the pylon field, as you can see. Okay. And then we'll build our gas, Chrono Boost our Nexus, and fix the last of our mineral line. And then finally, that one is the only one that has no second probe. Fix that. Okay, and then get one probe on our gas, and then rally our Nexus to our natural. So by the time I saturate my gas, I'm already done on the mineral line. Ideally, that's what you want to be happening to yourself as well. You want to try to make sure your build is doing this, is accomplishing the same thing, to where you're not trying to fix this while you're now trying to progress like other things in your build. Like fix it ASAP. Okay, so we rallied our Nexus back to the gas. We'll build our core on time. Actually, okay, I'm gonna cancel that because we actually fucked that up. I made you a bad wall, but it's okay. We made a good one. You want to have a one gap. You want to always make your doorway off your first building, and then finish the wall after the last one. Okay, and then we'll build our gas and our pylon right now together because we have enough minerals to afford it. So this way we're not going to survive block. Okay, and then when the second pylon's done, we'll chrono boost again, and now we're going to be very liberal with our chronos, just like constantly chronoing. So second pylon's done, chrono boost. And then we'll also chrono boost our gateway one time. And so far we're good. And then now our Nexus is going to be finishing in just a second. And we can start a third pylon like in our main base, that's totally fine. Doesn't really matter where you put it, because we already have a Nexus, we already have a pylon at the wall. Okay, and then we'll make a sentry. And now we'll go ahead and make chrono boost on our Nexus. And this one's not ready yet, which is fine. But we'll make our sentry and our robo now as soon as we can. Once we have the once we can afford it, we go robo first and then gateway after. So looks like we can afford it now. So we'll take our probe, make our robo in the back, and then we'll make our second gateway in the front and wall off our base. And now we can also take our battery to be on the safe side of things, and we're good to go. Okay, and then probe priority, which is good, and then I'll make a stalker behind it. Probe's always priority first. Never do the opposite, otherwise your build's gonna be fucked up. Now we have enough chrono to chrono boost. Don't chrono boost the main though, because it's far away, long distance. We might as well chrono boost the natural, because we can chrono from one Nexus to another. So this now means a natural gets probes faster, which is great, which is what we want. Okay, let's go and build another pylon. And now let's get ready to send a probe to our third base, because we're getting fully saturated here. So we want to take our third very soon. Okay, so we started a immortal, and our warp gate's gonna finish in a second. So we'll make 2 stalkers warped in. Let's make our Nexus as well while we're at it. Make a pylon after we make probes, because again, probes are priority. Probes are always the number one priority over everything. They're literally priority over everything. And now production's priority over buildings. So we make our stalkers, make probes again, and now we make our gas. So even though I'm oversaturated, it's totally fine. Gas comes last. After, like, gas is like you fit it in when you can afford it. You don't prioritize it. Then we can make another pylon over here, which is totally fine. We'll make it off the other side of the Nexus. And now we keep making units out of our robo, keep making units out of our gateway. And we can send out a hallucinated phoenix to go scout across the map. Saturate our gases now. Keep chrono boosting our Nexus. Okay, and then keep making pylons. Keep making immortals. Let's transfer some probes over now. Get this base going. And we made probes as a priority again. Chrono boost them again.
Engaging the enemy.
And then start making stalkers. And at this point now, we can even do this. We could go with our whole army down to our third base and leave like one stalker in hold position in the doorway. And now we can also make like a battery at our third, just to be on the safe side. And now put our units like in the middle line-ish, like behind near the pylons, that kind of stuff. And now we have a good pylon saturation here, or a good probe saturation. Let's go to make our upgrade buildings now. And then we'll take our fourth base. So upgrade buildings are started. We can do, again, unit priority here. Let's make our robo unit with our money. Let's also make our stalkers, and let's send a probe to our fourth. Doesn't really matter where you take it. You could take it in the middle. You could take it on the side. I'd say take it over here, because you want to have like the heart of your base to be there. Probably make it easier to defend. Make a couple stalkers. Keep making probes. Okay. Make a pylon. Make our nexus. Make another pylon over here and another pylon down here. And now we're going to start adding on some production. Keep making probes. Get our upgrades going now. Dun, dun, dun. And now we can start kind of boosting our upgrades, because we can actually our probes are looking good here, and we can now start adding in our upgrades, which is all good. And now we have a lot of stalkers, and we're going to start our Templar archives here, which means now we're going to start making zealots. And our money's going to start going up really fast. We can start defending this, and we can now take gateways on the side of our base here, because we can afford an extra round of gateway units, or a gateway production rather. And we can also cover the side of my nexus just like that. That way our army can be a little bit more liberal about sitting in the middle of my base now, without having to be super afraid of losing my my probes on that base. Okay. Let's take a couple more pylons in the main base. Keep making our units. Probe count right now is 81, so we're basically done right now. We're looking like we're about to be finished here. We're taking our gas this time because our probing is basically done now. And now we're also adding on our Temple Archive, so it's totally fine to speed the gas up at this point a little bit. Okay, take our gates. Take another round of gates like over here. And cover the side of the Nexus. And now let's start making some Templars with Immortals. And now that we're done with this, get our army over here to defend this. Chrono Booster upgrades. And we can take another base again. We can switch star one because our main base is going to start mining out any second now. Also saturate our gas because we're starting to make Archons, and that's totally fine. Okay. So we can just have our army go back to the middle of our setup here. Get a couple of pylons at this base to prepare it. Take some Archons again. Chrono boost our upgrades. We can start blink now as well, or sorry, charge now as well. We can chrono boost that as well. There's a Zergling in my base somehow. Okay. Get my dudes all made here. Probing is still done. We're at 185. Okay, and we're just making Zealots and Archons whenever we can. Keep chrono boosting our upgrades. And now let's have one Zealot, like right now, go out across the map and just figure out one more time like where we want to go. We can do it also with the Blue Stained Phoenix. That would also work. Keep making units. And then get ready to chrono boost our upgrades again. Transfer probes that are excess over to the new base that we have, so that we just fix that. And now we're maxed out at like 9 minutes, just after 9 minutes. And yeah, we can start going across the map like right now. So we haven't seen a base yet, so we need to go like right now. And there's no base there, so it guarantees there's no base there now. So we need to go here. So if there's no way we can like do another attack here on that base, there's no way we can like flank that area because it's fully already like just one spot. So we would just now attack this spot right here, and then we could just A move, shift A move. Our army's pretty much get my army grouped up. Now A move, shift A move, go back to my base, chrono boost upgrades, and we could even add on cannon, battery, or more gateways. Go up to like, you know, a good amount, and then start making cannons and batteries and shit while this fight goes on. And then if any supply dies, we're watching top right now. If any supply dies at all, we could go, oh, well, I can make new units at this point. New Zealots, new Archons, whatever. And I could also take like another base right now because that's off. But yeah, you could take, what's it called? Yeah, we could just like keep it flowing constantly like the whole time. And now at this point, when the game's over, we had like 22 production buildings. We could even have made like one more robo if we wanted to, and that also would have been totally fine. So we can speed up the immortal production too. But overall, what we just did there, how'd that feel? What do you think?
Oh, it was great. I think it's a couple things. Number one, you got to sub 910. So I think that's something I can definitely work on in the side, and then as well as just basically overarching like harassment, just things how to take care of all that stuff. I mean, I think my prognosis was correct with the sense that was a macro issue. So if I fix that, then hopefully Platinum's going to be a lot easier, or it'll be really easy.
Yeah, well, two of your biggest problems, just to reiterate one more time, is number one, your chrono boost. It needs to be improved a lot. You just don't use it really.
Yeah.
And after like the start of the game. And number two is your assertive building timing of things, like with your pylon going down, your gateway going down, your core going down. Your core was actually decent most of the time, but like your gateway and your pylon, two different games, were both two different problems. So I can tell that's a common flaw in your gameplay. It's something that you're not prioritizing enough, and the more that you start to assert attention to that and you prioritize that kind of shit, the faster it'll make your whole build start flowing. And it's the same thing with like a Nexus too. Like if I tell you, okay, your first Nexus, your natural, the first one you build is supposed to be your 20th probe gets rallied over there and builds it. You did that properly both times. That was good. But now if I tell you your third base should be starting when your natural, when you can afford it and your natural's like really well saturated, like 16 or whatever. You don't want to be like, okay, well I have 530 minerals in the bank and I'm gonna start a probe going over there now, and when I get there I'm gonna have 700 and then I'm gonna build it. Like obviously if you do that, it's really late. But if you're like, okay, well I'm gonna send my probe over there at like 220, and then as I get there I'm gonna have 400 to build my Nexus. That's perfect.
Yeah.
So you also want to account, and this takes experience and you'll get better at it over time. You always want to account for travel time, whether it be one of two things. One of them being travel time of your probe to get to a location to then add another building when you're waiting for a previous building to finish, like a pylon, or like a tech structure if you're going to do a tech path, or travel time to building a building if you're waiting for money to build it. So if you can calculate like with some level of accuracy the amount of time it takes your probe to go from point A to point B, and the amount of time it takes you to be prepared to build the building, whether it be through tech path or through resources, try to pair those together. And if you do a little bit of that, it'll definitely speed your build up a lot more, and it'll make things a lot better for you too.
Okay, thanks so much, man. Appreciate it. This was great.
Hell yeah, dude. Thanks for doing it as well. And
Of course.
I'll save this replay right now really fast. I'll call it
Perfect.
the who example. I don't know.
Just call the 9-minute build example or something.
Okay,
Then-
sure.
Because at least I like literally that's what I'm gonna watch, right?
Yeah, sure. You're right. All right.
There,
So
nice.
all right, I'll send it to you on Discord in probably like the next like 1 minute or so when as soon
Take
as
your
we
time, man.
end the call. And then I'll send you a link as well tomorrow, either later tonight or probably like tomorrow, because I have to wait for it to upload. But I'll upload this to YouTube and I'll send the link to you tomorrow that you can forever have, and you can watch whenever you want. It'll never go away. And then you can always use it as a reference in the future if you want to like have like a checkpoint or like a refresher for things we talked about today. Especially if like anything like you forget stuff, or if there's something that didn't make sense and you watch it again later, it might make sense.
Okay. Appreciate it.
But yeah, thanks for doing it, and have a good rest of your night, dude. And
Cheers, man.
good luck.
Thanks.
All right, take it
Talk
easy.
later, man.
Yeah, take it easy. All right, guys. Thanks for watching the coaching lesson. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Much love. I'll see you guys as well in the next video, whatever we do. So until then, appreciate you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Later, guys.